welcome to another episode of How to Be a Great Player. Today I'm going to give you my 4 and a bonus half tips on how to get yourself involved. Now, at some point or another, we have all been there. The GM has asked for a skill check and we just don't have anything in those skills. Breaking into a top secret computer facility and all you've got is gardening, cooking and tracking, well, you might just be wandering around waiting for everybody else to solve the problem, feeling like you've got nothing to do. Or maybe you're playing a Jedi and the GM says, fight a battle. You can't fly, you can't shoot, you can't scan because you put all of your points into mind-controlling Jedi powers. Except the starships are moving so quickly you can't affect them. That is another scenario of I'm just here because, well, I'm not somewhere else. What if it's a combat and, well, you just don't have any combat skills because you decided to create the pacifist hippie nurse who heals everybody up? What do? Go and hide in the corner and wait for it to be over? Well, again, you're just not involved. So here are my 4.5 tricks and tips that I would use to get myself involved. And they all revolve around thinking outside the box. So the very first one, try and find some kind of story angle. So I know that sounds a bit cryptic, and surely the GM is responsible for story. Well, yes and no. Whilst you are on board that starship watching everyone else make their gunnery checks and piloting skills and engineering checks and stuff, and you're wandering around as a communications officer with no one to talk to, well, why don't you? The GM should, on your turn, ask you, what are you doing? The most common answer I hear is, I'm just holding on. No. Try and find a story element. Start scanning the subspace waves. If you're involved in a high-speed carriage chase, start making notes on a piece of paper with your character. Maybe that's what your character does when they're not engaged. They make notes, they write a story. Maybe they're becoming a historian. So look for story angles that will allow you to still do something whilst everything else is happening around you. If you're a Jedi, why don't you go and meditate and try and commune with the Force? If you are a non-fighter character in the middle of a fight, well, perhaps you can be running around handing ammo out to everybody or reloading their weaponry. It's so seldom that I have come across other players when there's nothing for them to do who will go and try and help their companions with reloading that crossbow, powering up the battery packs for the blasters, whatever the case might be, or just handing out potions of healing. So think about it from a story perspective. What can you do to include yourself? Don't let the GM have to go, there's a firefight going on, but he's a healer, so he doesn't get anything. I'm going to have him interact with an NPC. That's going to slow down the pace of the combat. It's going to make it feel less intense. No, rather you come up with a solution and let the GM manage it for you. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is, and I've kind of covered it, assist others. Maybe if it's a skill check and you don't happen to have the skill, you can say to the character, well, I walk over and offer to help hold your backpack. You're trying to crack a safe. You can't keep your backpack on. Or I hold your weapons for you whilst you are busy trying to decode that ancient book of arcane writing. I bring you a calming tea that I brew over a little fire whilst you're busy trying to, crack that code. Whatever the case might be, just make yourself useful by helping others. And if there aren't any others to help, well, then help yourself. Use the time to go through your gear and start mending stuff, repairing stuff, cleaning stuff. Think about it a little bit. By combining those two actions, looking for story options or helping other people, there is a lot for you to do. If you still haven't found something to do, well, it happens in every movie and in a lot of books. Become the comic relief. Have your character do something terrifying. Have them run around screaming blindly whilst they're being shot at by the enemy. Have them cowering in a corner singing lullaby songs to freak out your fellow players. Create a moment for yourself so that you are having fun, and hopefully everyone else is as well, whilst you're not necessarily being used as a mechanical device to advance the plot through skill checks or dice rolling. Don't be afraid to be the humorous character. If you look at some great movies, a lot of those fantastic moments are when the characters are not actually engaged in the main action, but are doing something curiously funny in the background. It might be the background for the viewer, but for you, it becomes a moment and something that you can help build into your character to either work against, so they feel remorse that they ran around screaming like a little girl when the combat was happening. And throughout the next adventure or the next few adventures, they're actively trying to be a little bit braver. Or they want to learn how to defend themselves. So they ask the other characters to train them in martial arts or how to fire a weapon. It's a great opportunity for your character to grow and for you to involve your other players, which ultimately makes you a better player, doesn't it? Then, fourth point, you can rethink your skills or talents or feats or abilities or whatever you want to call them in whatever system you're using. Try and look at them from a different angle. There's nothing wrong with saying, I have geology, this whole building is made out of stone, can I look for a potential weak spot in the architecture and then point that out to the guy who's got the rocket launcher? I don't see why not. Make your check. Suddenly you're involved. The firefight going on with the minions or whatever the case might be would just have been a normal firefight. Now, however, you've given everyone a point of hope. If we cause the building to collapse, haha, we'll defeat them and we'll come out on top. All thanks to you, who originally would have just sat back going, I dodge. Do you see what I'm saying? You can make yourself a lot more useful by looking at your skills in a different way. So think outside of that space that it just says linguistics. Sure, but linguistics allows you to control your voice. So what if you try and trick the soldiers that there's more of your companions coming around through that door over there? Give that a try. Hey, if it fails, what have you lost? Nothing. If it succeeds, you've just become the hero. So think about your skills in different ways. Don't look at your list and go, oh, I've got nothing that'll be of use. Nothing. On the other hand, don't overuse it and say, listen, I'm going to use my skill in cooking to work out that the enemies are made out of flesh, and so I'll give the guy with the flamethrower a bonus by saying that human flesh cooks at 100 degrees Celsius. I don't see how that's going to work very well. It's a bit of a stretch, but 10 points for trying. And then finally, the very last thing that you can do to help make yourself feel as if you are part of the team, as if you are really helping everyone, is if you really have nothing to contribute, well, why not make everybody a round of coffee and bring in some snacks? They certainly will appreciate you, and the battle will seem just that much easier for the rest of them. Well, maybe not. Anyway, I hope that these 4 ideas have been useful in helping maybe nudge your mind in a direction to reevaluate yourself when next you think that your character has nothing significant to contribute. You usually do, you just need to think about it a little bit. Until next time, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. And as always, we love your comments. We try and reply to all of them. We really do. If you want to see more, like I said, hit the subscribe button. I'm going in circles now. I'm stuck. Look, I'm trying to finish off this thing. So hit the subscribe button, leave your comments below, and let us know if there's anything else you'd like us to cover. As some of you might know, my computer may or may not have crashed and deleted and burned everything. So all your comments of, I'd like a video on this or I'd like a video on that, has gone into the ether. So leave your comments below on what you'd like us to cover in the future, and we will create a new list and make it on good old-fashioned paper so we don't have a digital apocalypse taking us down. Until next time, happy playing.